Hey girls, welcome to the second ever virtual gathering. We are so glad that you're here with us. We have about 2 minutes before we really get rolling, so grab your tea, chocolate, a blanket, maybe get the kids out of the room, whatever it takes for you to be here and listen in. Give us a follow on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, and now an Abundant Life Women YouTube channel where you can re-watch episodes of The Gathering. We just have a few minutes before we start into worship, a chat among friends, and hear a word from the Lord. Thanks again for choosing to be here. Even when the world caves, even when the fight calls, even when the wars wage, I'll take heart. 'Cause I know you are greater, forever you are Savior. I will sing your praise. With all that I have, with all that I am, Lord. Hey girls, how are you?
Hey, good.
Good. How
How's
are
doing
you?
good today? Another virtual gathering. It's pretty exciting, huh?
Yeah.
It's so sad that we couldn't be in person though, huh?
I know.
like
we
happy
miss our ladies. Yeah.
I know. Hugging people and seeing people. But anyways, this is as good as it's going to get. So I'm excited to just sit down and have a little chit chat and a talk amongst friends. So let's just start off by just introductions. So, I mean, we're very different, but we have one thing in common, and that's that we all love Jesus. So just real quick, just give me a real quick introduction. Natasha, you want to go first?
I'm Natasha Gleason. I am married to my high school sweetheart. We have 2 kiddos. Our daughter Abby is 12 and our son Jack is 6. I work full-time outside of the home, and I'm a manager of a cancer center here in the local area.
Very cool.
And I attend Abundant Life.
Yeah. You got a few things going on.
A little bit.
Yeah, I love your family. All right, Jen, what about you?
Yeah, my name's Jen Strelo, and I live in the Liberty area, and we have 5 grown children. And for 25 years, my husband was a full-time pastor. So after that, the Lord just led us to Abundant Life, and we've been coming here for about 3 years. And I also work out of the home, and just love you ladies, and excited to get to share with our ladies tonight.
Yeah, great. And so then I guess whoever doesn't know me, I'm Heather, and I get the privilege of being on the Gathering volunteer group along with you girls, and it's just such a privilege to serve. And I also have 5 kids. I don't know. Who does that, right? Anyways, I have 5 kids, and married to Matt for almost 16 years. And I'm a stay-at-home mom, and got kids ranging from 21 down to 5, and I homeschool 3 of them. So, that's just kind of what we're doing. So life's good. But we just, wanted to gather together to just kind of wrap up our year, at the Gathering. We've had such a amazing year, and, our theme this year has been So Shine, right? And we were just plugging right along until this coronavirus stuff happened. And so we just wanted to get together and just have a chit chat with friends. So let's talk about first, what presses you to want to know God more? I mean, what spurs you on in your faith? What do you got, Natasha?
I would just say it's one of those things where, when you meet a friend and right away, like you guys just click, right? Like this is the person that gets me, and they know my faults and they love me anyway, and you just want to spend more time with them, and you want to develop that relationship more. And every time you're around them, you feel like they make you better, but you also just can't wait until the next time that you get to go together, that you get to talk to them again, that you get to share with them again. To me, that's how my relationship with Jesus is. Right? He knows me better than anybody else in the whole world, even the little things that maybe I don't even want my husband to know about. He knows them all, and he loves me anyway. And I just feel like every time I spend time in his word, every time I spend time praying, I just become a better version of myself, and that makes me better and helps me to also be able to better pour into those that are around me. So It's like the ideal of the perfect relationship, right?
Yeah, I love that. I love that about you. What do you think, Jen? What presses you to want to know God more?
I just feel like being a mom, I need to be a mom that they can tell has spent time with the Lord, and a wife and a friend and the people I work with. I want them to see Jesus in me. I don't want them to see me. I want them to see him. And the only way that happens is if I'm really wanting to know him better, and his love for me, and all his the generous benefits of that relationship, how he knows us better than anyone. And I just think about that a lot. He knows me so well. I need to know him so well too.
Yeah, I agree.
To be who I need to be, yeah.
Yeah, and I've thought about this, once we become believers, I don't know, sometimes I just think about like, where's my place? Do you know what I mean? As a created being that believes in a creator, and just keeping myself kind of in check, and God's not, our buddy, God is our friend, and he is, our father, obviously, but, he's not like our buddy old pal, right? And so I don't know, for me, that presses me to want to know him well and just to keep myself kind of in check. We obviously live in a world that is very self-absorbed, and, we want what we want and we want it right now. And so I don't know. So just keeping, myself just in this place that recognizes God as, creator and me as a created being. So next question. So, obviously right now, really challenging, weird times, right? And I heard Shelley Giglio the other day say that we have a crisis of faith right now, in our whole world. This crisis of faith, especially, right now, lately, a lot of fear and uncertainty and, fear of the unknown. And there's a lot, about life that's unknown right now. So I just wanted to spend a minute and let's just talk about trials and tribulations. How have the things that you have been through, how have they made you lean into God, press into God instead of pull away? So talk to me about that for a minute, Jen.
This seemed so big, and it took a while for me to realize there's something bigger than Corona and the stay-at-home order and the quarantine and all the uncertainty. There was so much more to that. So I kind of just stepped away and was just trying to focus so much on what I knew about God and how I know these trials. This wasn't a surprise, and our Maker made us for this because we know He's our sustainer and our provider, and all the trials, people, income unsure, and like a son of mine coming home from college unexpectedly, and now we're schooling online, and part-time jobs just not there any longer. And I just looked at everything with, well, who am I? Who am I aside of not being able to come to be with my church friends and not to be able to come to church, and nothing felt what I was safe and trusting, but to just know that I know this trial is here and I want to come out on the other side of this and be more Christ-like. And I hope through this trial, the Lord's been able to bear even a little bit of fruit in my life, whether it's just more peace and trust. And these have been hard times, hard trials for a lot of people. And James chapter 1 is just my go-to during trials. But just to realize that God has these things come our way to grow us and to make us more like Him and draw us to lead into Him more.
Believing in the sovereignty and the goodness of God, even when we can't see it, right in the midst of what we're going through. But I think it's so important to be able to lean on what we know. Where have we seen the goodness of God in our life? What are those times that He's carried us when we couldn't walk? And really leaning into and pressing into those times when we don't really know, what's going on. Do we believe in the sovereign hand of God? What do you think, Natasha, about just trials and tribulations? How have they spurred you on?
I look back at difficult times in my life, the coronavirus obviously is something completely unexpected, something that nobody would have guessed, our life was going to look like this time last year. But even in the past, trials that I've had, and I think back to my days of being, a kiddo on the church bus, and there's a song that talks about the God in the mountain, on top of the mountain is still the God in the valley, right? So when things are going wrong or when things are seem to be out of our control. We were never in control anyway, right? That's a false thing that I tell myself, but that he is in control and he is still with us and he's never going to leave us. And I can't help but feel sad for the people that I know that don't have the assurance of a relationship with Christ, because I can't imagine how much harder these times are for them, not having that to lean on, not knowing that there is someone greater than me. There's someone that's in control. There's someone that was not surprised by this. There's somebody that's not surprised by the trials I've had in the past, and somebody that wants to help me not only to get through this. It may not be the way that I planned that I was going to make it through, right? Because my plan isn't always the best, even though I often think it is. But that he wants to walk through this with me, and that through that, hopefully what I've gone through can be used to reach somebody else. That maybe somewhere along the line in my path, there'll be someone that's going through something similar, that I can use what I went through to minister to them and to help them through that situation. Yeah. So I like to think that I have control. I like to think that I have all these plans, but I don't. God's in control, and his plans are so much better than what mine would be anyway.
Control is such a facade, isn't it?
So true.
And I think that, we've been really shown that, these last 8 weeks, how little really we have control over. Yeah, and I mean, it also makes me think of, there are times in our faith when we just have to have self-discipline, right? And sometimes we don't have the butterflies and we don't, have those aha moments in our faith, and that's the time then we really, I think, go back to that anchor, and being self-disciplined. So getting into the Word, even when I honestly don't really want to. Praying, leaning on community. I don't know, those are the times when I just feel really challenged. I know right now, and my life has been just crazy in the past, several weeks with, I have a son who's had some major medical issues, and life's just been hard, and it's hard to see, every moment of every day, those little things about God that really presses us on. But that's when really your faith meets your feet, right? And I don't know, I've just been really challenged to, like you talked about, Jen, focus on what do I know? Who does God say I am? What does his word say is true? And cling to those, because sometimes that's all we can do, right? Okay, so let's talk about kind of our hashtag through this time, through Abundant Life Women, has been now. And so we've really just been talking about living now in a world of next. And so I just want to talk about, for a minute, how have you been able to do that? And also wrapping that into the So Shine, theme that we've had this year, from Matthew 5, really taking that verse seriously, you're the salt of the earth, you are a light on a hill. How is that really playing out in our life? So how can we live now in a world of next? So what do you think?
I think, I don't think I would have learned some of the valuable lessons that have kind of just dawned on me when you brought up this topic and this question and helping us focus on this. I think Pastor Chad touched on it on his sermon a couple of weeks ago, where we're so busy, and I feel like now I'm realizing, what can I cut out of my day, of my week, to be more intentional about people? We're running around, and I know the enemy uses that so much in our lives. Right. Busyness just robs us of that intimacy. And to realize now, I think going back to the now, we don't have any idea what the next is, the next what, the next month, the next months, but we can live today in the now and be intentional about more time with God, more time with people, and what matters. And I feel like this has been a great lesson for our family. Yeah. The pace and some people are saying they don't know if they want to go back to the normal, because is our normal just too crazy and too busy, and there's so much non-essential that we're all wrapped up in.
That's right.
And I think just make today count. What God, can you just get me through today? His grace is sufficient. And who can you be a blessing to today? Just something small. But and even if you don't have it in you, if you're having a bad day and it's just not there and you're not feeling, call a friend, call someone, ask them, and be that friend that you can just text someone, how can I pray for you today? This is hard. I know you're going through this, but I think with us not so busy, these things come to our mind, and I know it's the Holy Spirit's the one that's we're able to hear his voice more when he prods us to be what we need to be now for people. I can hear him more clearly when I'm not so busy.
Mm-hmm. I think that's such a great lesson to learn, that every individual, I think, has to learn. How do you function best? I had to learn several years ago with 5 kids that I can't be involved in everything. My kids can't be involved in everything, because we are not a family that functions well with lots of time constraints and plans every day. And so I think that that's a lesson that, we had to learn, and to just be able to say no, and focusing on today. Because as we know, right, Jen, kids grow up so fast, and those little 3-year-olds that you're looking at and you get to just watch Disney movies with and, play with Play-Doh, before long, they're 8 and then they're 18, and it just goes by in the blink of a moment. So, just focusing on, like you said, today. What can I do today? How can I be obedient today? How can I live in the now? Am I going to get on the computer and get stuck in Pinterest land? I don't know about you, but I can waste a whole night there. You know what I mean? And what am I going to make for dinner? And what am I going to do with the entryway? And what can I do with my hair? Or, my nails, for goodness sake, they're a mess right now. I know, don't look at them. But you know what I mean? And I can blow a whole night there. And then I've got kids who, now it's time to go to bed, and, what have I done with that time? So I've just been convicted, to just unplug. And I talked to a friend, and that's the question she was pondering, are we going to go back to normal? Are we going back there? And I'm kind of with you. I don't know that I want to, some things I feel like God has given us this moment to push a hard reset and say, no, I'm not going back there. I'm going to be obedient today, and I'm going to live in today. And I think Scripture talks about that over and over again, not to worry about tomorrow, but to focus on today. What do you think, Natasha?
I completely agree with what you ladies have said. One of my favorite movies at Christmas time is Elf. And there's a scene in Elf where he has his Etch-a-Sketch, right? And he has all these plans of what he wants to do with his dad that day. And he's like, we're going to eat cookie dough, and we're going to make these, and we're going to do this. And his dad's like, well, I'm going to work today. And he's like, oh. And he just shakes away all the plans. And I feel like that's what God's done with our life, right? We have all these plans, and we have this calendar full of things that we're like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and it's going to be great. And God, I hope it's okay, because this is what I have planned, okay? This is what we're going to do. And he's like, no, we're going to start over, because I have other plans for you. So I think this has been a really great time for me, at least in my life, to look and say, okay, God, what do you want on my calendar today? What are the things that I was doing that were important to you? And what are things that maybe I need to reevaluate, and maybe they weren't something that I need to be doing in this season in my life? I think that busyness is the thief of joy, and I think that you're right. I think that the enemy uses it so often to derail us, and I think that this has just been a really good opportunity to reset. Working in oncology, if I've learned nothing else from my patients, it's to not take anything for granted. Every day is a gift. Every moment that you have with your family is a gift. Mm-hmm. I have sweet patients who worked and planned and did everything the right way, and they get to retirement, and within a week they're diagnosed with cancer. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important that we live our days. You have to plan for tomorrow, because the likelihood is that it's going to come, right? Yeah. And that we're going to have years down the road. Mm-hmm. But you can't live your life looking for tomorrow and not take advantage of what you're given today. So I just think that God's given us all a really good opportunity to refocus and reevaluate all the things that we have in our life. And is this where I'm supposed to be? Are these the things I'm supposed to be spending my time on? Or are there maybe things that I need to let go? And you know what? Sometimes they're good things. Sometimes they're serving in areas. And maybe by you letting go of that, someone that needs somewhere to serve will see that need and be able to step in. So it's not that you're letting people down by taking something off your calendar, but maybe in this moment in time, it's what's best for you and what's best for your family.
Yeah. Really pausing and asking God, you know, is this what you have for me right now? I mean, not that I have ever done that, but I think some people do, you know, say yes to too much. No, that's another hard lesson I had to learn. And that, you know, I would rather say yes to 3 things and do them really well than say yes to 10 and do them really mediocre. So, yep, keeping everything just really in perspective, living for today. So then I think we gauge, you know, are we living a fruitful life? You know, what are those fruits that is in our life? And so let's just talk about that for a minute, you know, before we end our time together. So how do we gauge, you know, do we have fruit? You know, what are we doing? Are they going to matter? I just keep thinking about this, you know, when I get to eternity, are the things I bring with me, are they going to burn up? Or am I going to have treasures to lay before the Lord? So, you know, keeping that in mind, you know, when I think of having a fruitful life, I think of, you know, are we, you know, doing what the Bible says? And so what does the Bible say? What's our call as Christians? Yeah. And make what? Make disciples. Yeah. So are we mentoring? You know, are we, do we have accountability in our life? So talk to me, like, what do you guys, like, how do you gauge, you know, this fruitful life, mentoring, making disciples? What do you think about that?
Well, I think we'll regret if we have all this knowledge and we don't share. And I think just having a burden for the people around you, whether they need Jesus or whether they're just in a time of discouragement, but we've been given so much. And they might have their riches or their status and so many other things in their life that are giving them confidence, but we have to be authentic. Authentic faith, and let people see when we're not perfect, it's okay. That's even showing more so that you're authentic. You need Jesus bad, so I'm not perfect. And I think I know in my own life the fruit I need to work on, and God prunes me, and I sometimes don't learn this lesson, and I don't bear that fruit the first trial. But one of my favorite verses is, "Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on him." And that's one of the things I'm just striving so much now, is I want peace just during trials. I just need his peace, and I want to be able to share that with others and make a difference, because we have so much. Need to pass it on and be intentional.
I feel like our other hashtag maybe could be real. You know, I think that's what people are looking for is, are you real? Is your God real? Is your faith real? Is that really going to make a difference in my life?
Yeah, they don't need us to be perfect. They don't want to see that we're perfect. They don't want that. They can't live up to that either. So, yeah. Hello,
religion and not relationship. Yeah. What do you think, Natasha, when you think of, a fruitful life, serving, community? What do you think?
For me, I feel like my responsibility starts at home, right? My first priority is to my husband and my kiddos. Am I being the example that they need? Not only showing them that I'm not perfect, right? I make mistakes and mom's gonna mess up, but that's because we're human. We're born in a sinful world, right? We're gonna have our hiccups, but how do I recover from that? Do I go to them and say, you know what, mom was wrong and I'm sorry, but I love you and we're gonna move forward? Or do I try to cover it up because I'm perfect and I don't ever do anything wrong? Am I letting my kids see that I walk the walk as much as I talk the talk, right? Do they see me in the Word? Do they see me studying my Bible? I know technology is a wonderful thing, but for me, I have my paper old school Bible that I write all over in, because if I'm on my phone, I could be doing a million things, right? And my kids see me, and I may very well be doing a Bible study, and it is something so fruitful and so wonderful. But to them, am I scrolling Facebook? I know I'm old. Instagram, whatever. Am I on there? Or am I doing something that is worthwhile? So for me and my house, for them to see me with my Bible open, there's no doubt what I'm doing. So for them to be able to see that, and okay, well, Mom tells me that I should do this.
Exactly.
I see her doing it as well. So I think it starts at home. I think that it's really important to have community. I think that it's so good to have a group of sisters that you can lean on that are going to hold you accountable because they love you, right? Like if you see me slipping up, I surely hope that you would call me and be like, hey, saw you.
Let's have a chit chat.
This is not okay. Is this what you want? Is this, what you're trying to portray? But also knowing that you have that group of sisters that's going to give you grace. So it's just... community is really, really important. If you're trying to walk a fruitful life, then you need people that are going to love you and lift you up, but also, like I said, keep you accountable too.
So good and so true. And I have been able to see the body of Christ just rally really in the last couple of weeks, as my son was coming home from his second hospital stay, and I had friends that were moving furniture in my house, and I had the next day I had one of her husbands mowing not one of her husbands, it was just one friend. She doesn't have multiple husbands, that's not what I meant. But one of my friends sent her husband to mow our yard the next day as I'm running out the door to go, back to the hospital, and, friends bringing meals. And so I think that we just rob ourselves of community, whenever we stay isolated and at home. And, church at home has been great, during quarantine, but, there comes a time when we've got to go out and put ourselves out there, and say, I need community. I want other sisters, other families, to rally around me and hold me accountable, speak truth into my life, and just do this thing called life together. I so love that. And I have just never been so probably aware of community. And I think we also get great community in serving, right? I mean, look, the three of us are sitting together because we serve together. We do women's ministry together. And so that's just been a great way to get to know other people and to just put some other, great relationships. And it just makes life so much richer. Yeah.
And I think I was talking about kids earlier. I think it's so important for them to see that there are other families that have the same belief systems, and that there are other kids who are held to the same standards, and that their parents believe the same things. And so, they say it in Journey Kids, but a kid has to hear something. It's like 5 or 6 different people have to tell them the same thing before they believe it. And so they hear it from me and they hear it from their dad, but for them to hear it from you and from Heather and from other people, they're like, okay, well, maybe what you're saying does have some weight to it. Maybe there is some truth. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I've had a lot of those conversations. All my friends, they play video games all day long, and they, everybody's doing everything different. Well, no, that's not the truth. Pay attention to those, people who are in your life, and let's gauge against that. So yeah, I love that. I love what you said a minute ago about it starts at home. And I think that's so important. I felt this huge burden whenever I had young kids to go, where are you sharing the gospel? What are you doing? What are you serving? And I just felt like, And I just had a friend just say, no, like your people are your people right now. And sometimes there's a time when, that becomes the main thing. And so, yeah, I just want to go give those young moms a hug who feel stretched thin, and they're changing diapers, and they're, doing all the things with little people. And yeah, just
their
tell
time
her,
will come. Yeah. Just for now, this is where they're needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thanks, girls, for coming and just having a chit chat with me. And I know that your words will be encouraging to the ladies that hear, and I just can't wait to gather back together in the fall.
In person.
Hopefully we can hug people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be there.
Hope so.
Okay. Thanks, girls.
Thanks, Heather.
Atmosphere is changing, nothing stays the same. 'cause strongholds are broken. I've been made free. I am forgiven. Fear has to leave. Strongholds are broken. I've been made free. I am forgiven. Fear has to leave. Your name is healing. Your name is louder. Your name is holy. My strong, strong town. Wonderful name. Glorious name. Powerful name of Jesus. Jesus, speak the name above all other names. Speak the name the wind and waves obey. All of heaven's coming down. Fill the earth with the sound of the name of Jesus. The name of Jesus. Speak the name of Jesus.
Thanks again for joining us here at The Gathering. We're so glad that you decided to spend time with us. We hope that you feel blessed by this message and leave here inspired. This time, during coronavirus and COVID, we really have two options. We can turn away from the Lord, or we can take time to press in. We have women from all different walks of life here tonight, and we're so excited for each one of you. This is a time when we want to know what kind of decisions you're making. The Next Steps number is at the bottom of the screen. If you're making a decision for the first time, we would love to hear about it and pray with you. If you need prayer or need to just talk with somebody, that's available too. Remember to follow us on our social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, and now YouTube. Hooray! We've made it to the end of another gathering year. We're so excited. Stay tuned for what's going to be happening coming up in September. But if you want to chat with ladies right now, regardless of whether you're in your robe and slippers, we've got a Zoom call. Link is below. You can chat with some gals who are ready to continue this conversation tonight. Oh yeah, see you guys soon.